be no good first here.
Harry, is your
as it
phone on
is.
silent, by the
We're
way?
rolling, so.
Can you hear us?
Is your phone on
Oh,
silent?
Yeah, okay, I'm just using it. Cool. So, hello and welcome to the first ever The Atlas podcast. Today we have a very special guest on our first ever show, Robert Sheary. Welcome, Rob.
hey, Harry.
Rob is a well-recognised cricketer throughout New Zealand and abroad the indoor scene. He's also played outdoor cricket for countless seasons in Palmerston North for his beloved Palmerston Cricket Club. Robert Sheary first came on the scene in 1995 when he played his first ever indoor cricket game at Cricket Wicket. He was 10 years old at the time. He then went on to debut for PISA, Palmerston Indoor Sports Association, in 1999 when the centre first opened its doors. Today it still goes strong. Rob went on to play his first Colts Nationals for the team that year. 24 years later, and Rob still manages to dome the court. If you put Rob up against any new young gun, he'd still give them a damn good run for their money. Rob has a world of experience where he's played indoor cricket in all corners of the globe. He first made his debut for New Zealand under 19 Colts team in 2003. He went on to debut for New Zealand men's team just 4 years later when they toured England, Bristol in 2007. Game 1 was against England and was paired to bat with Darren Crook. Crook is also an absolute don of the game and still going strong on the court. Let's touch on this as we get into the show. I've been honoured to share the court with Rob for the past year and a half. Rob brings a lot to the team, court, centre or whatever you want to call it, indoor cricket. He is a leader in all shapes and forms, his confidence shines throughout the team and he helps lift his team members up around him on and off the court. He plays a hard, strong game. If you're bowling a ball to Rob, watch out as it might come soaring back over your head into the back net for 7. Once again, thanks for coming on the podcast and I'm looking forward to picking your brain, learning something new and simply being inspired by a player that has dedicated the past 20 years of his life to the game we all know and love.
Cheers, Harry.
A dedication to a sport is not easy, let alone 28 years of it. Congratulations, Rob, on an amazing career thus far, and I look forward to see what else is going to come. Let's get into the show. First and foremost, while we've just highlighted your career, is there anything else that you may like to add that the listeners may like to know?
Well, I suppose part of it most people won't know about indoor cricket. So, indoor cricket is another form of outdoor cricket where you have 16 over innings. You have to bat, bowl, and field and be good at all three skills to make an international team. So, my strength in outdoors has always been batting, so I've taken that onto my court as a major strength. But I've had to work as my bowling and fielding as well. So, you have to have all three skills to complete the game. But it transitions really well to outdoor as well. So, having both skills, being strong in outdoor, bringing it indoor, gave me an opportunity to do a lot more as well.
I've definitely found that as myself, as a bit of a cricket nuffy, it's nice to have the indoor court in the off-season where you can't get outside to play outdoor cricket, and so you can join a new team, a new community, and make some new friendships on another court being indoors. So my first talking point, of course, is going to be PISA, Palmerston Indoor Sports Association. PISA brought us here. We are here today together under the name in-house PISA. So do you mind explaining to the audience, what exactly is PISA? What do we do and why do we play? What is the club?
So PISA Indoor Sports is just our local indoor sports centre. So anyone can come down, play at your own centre and have a bit of a go, whether it's cricket, netball, soccer, seen volleyball, seen basketball, seen a whole lot of mix there. And the opportunity, if you excel and enjoy in-house cricket, then you get to represent your centre. Then the ability of playing from your centre, you get to take on other teams in your region. So we're in the Wellington region. We take on Wellington, Upper Hutt, Napier, we're in New Plymouth at times. We get to take on anyone else and represent, for me, the black and blue. And then from there, if you play really well enough, you keep going up the ranks to first class central districts, and then you get picked into New Zealand sides. But PISA for me has always been like my home. I've played there for 25 years. When I moved to Wellington, I still come home and play for PISA. I've been very loyal to the brand, and I've always enjoyed representing that club and being there for that club.
So if you were to sum PISA in 3 words or a sentence, what would it mean to you, or what would you put it into a sentence or niche?
For me, it's home. It's been a second home for me. I've grown up in the centre. As a young fella, I was there 4 or 5 nights a week. Loved it, wanted to play cricket, met heaps of people. My partner and I were at the very start, we're playing a lot of sports and met a lot of friendships and built a relationship through that as well. And for me, it's around the camaraderie and family. I remember the original centre owner, when he passed away, all of us dressed up in black and blue. And we were like a family supporting him, and that's where the umpire means a lot more to me, around our club culture and our family.
It's awesome to hear. I can definitely affirm to that. I've only been in the club for a year and a half, and I've definitely felt very warm and welcome, and it's theoretically been at home away from home. It's nice to get down during the middle of the week and play a bit of stickball and just enjoy it with the lads, have a bit of a laugh. So
That's it. You get to catch up with the guys, and some guys you haven't seen for a long time.
No.
So an old face comes in, it's like, hey, bro, like even going away on these tournaments, I'm very strict because I catch up with guys I've played international with or club with, haven't seen all year, and I just want to go catch up and just see how they're doing.
Yeah, so that was actually a point that I was going to touch on later on in the podcast, was the actual friends and community that indoor cricket builds. Like, I can't say that I've actually played in a sporting community or region where everyone is friends actually properly off the court. What I've experienced in the outdoor game is, you play each other and it's fierce cricket, and there still might be a little bit of touchiness on the sidelines where you might not socialise so much as you do on the indoor court. So let's just talk about community and friendship and actually what the game brings, because I see, you walk around the courts and you'll be talking, every second person will be saying hello to you, which is really cool, and I think that the indoor cricket scene is growing immensely, and with the strong core community and friendships, it can really hopefully grow into the game we all know and believe it can be one day.
Yeah, I think the best thing about indoor, it gives opportunity, right? Because you play Fest Centre and you go on tournaments and you build camaraderies with all these guys you play against, but you are battling, like we are on court at war, right?
Yeah.
But then we're off court, we might get picked for another team, and then we build another team that we are at war with someone else. And then, like, obviously, 23 years of indoor cricket, and then played a bit of New Zealand and a bit of CD stuff, I've built more teams of war over the years, playing Australia or playing South Africa or playing against Auckland, against Canterbury. Like, we've had many battles and great stories of the time on the court and then off the court celebrating those wins. So as I come away, once a year I catch up with one of those guys I haven't seen for ages and just want to see how they're doing. Like, it's brilliant, that's the family atmosphere, the support of the guys and the camaraderie you build on and off the courts.
Yeah, no, it is awesome, and even myself, I noticed that. I'll be walking around and there'll be someone you played against, you have a little schnickle to each other on the sideline, and you get into a conversation. It's great. Like I said, making friends and hopefully friends for life, because once you're on the indoor court, I don't think you leave, do you?
Well, that's it, random.
So that's awesome, and we're very fortunate that we can play indoor cricket all around the world, wherever we want to play, right?
Yeah, that's opportunity, yeah.
Yeah, so, alright, let's just touch and let's get into your first ever debut. So you debuted for the New Zealand Colts in, touch on me, Rob, here, New Zealand Colts in 2003 in a tri-series in Christchurch for the under-19 New Zealand team.
Yeah, so I played my first tri-series 2002, and me and a guy, Ben Dixon, over the batting, we both got picked for New Zealand, and two guys from the same club going to battle against two guys going down to Christchurch. We're an Australian team and a Safa team, and there was definitely no love lost there. It was traditional kids cricket. Everyone biting each other, ball trying to hit each other, people in the way. Old school into cricket where it used to be a lot more competitive, where people didn't care if you got pushed on the court. It was a lot different. Where now there's a bit more, I suppose, rules around protecting players.
Politics.
Where I remember the first over I faced a young quick from Safa came in and two hit me in the shoulder, and the next one went out and both came in big at me and hit me. I was like, wow, this guy's got a bit of gas. And I'm like useful stick as well, and the next one tails away from me and beats me third ball. I was like, wow, this is we're in. Like, this is the battle. This is what we play for your country. And all of a sudden you've got a raw kid coming in. First three balls he's bowled international abroad, and he's coming at me like that. And I was like, man, this is awesome, right? And then we continued to play through, and we took on Australia a couple of times, and they were just next level around their development and the squads they had and their disciplines. It really taught us and myself a bit of a lesson around where I need to be if I want to be a world champion, what I needed to be successful in the sport.
Yeah, I can imagine it would be definitely a step up from what you play in club champs and provincials and stuff. When you're representing your country on the line, it's a very amazing feat. And when you wear that fern on your badge, you've earned it, and it's now time to put what you've done for the past so many years on the court. So congratulations to you for making the New Zealand team. Colts first and foremost at the age of 18.
Yeah, so it's just boys' high. So I was still at school at the time I got picked. Got my honours tie, and then the year after we went to the tournament. It was under 19s then, where now it's pushed to 23s, because they lost a bit of cricketers between age 19 international to men's, so they pushed it back to keep more players in at that higher level to transition between the two grades.
And so that's what we're kind of here for. He talks about under 19, now it's under 23 and stuff, and we're here to highlight the game of indoor cricket and bring you some real mentors and players that have actually been around the scene for a long time, know what they're doing, played a lot of games, had a lot of experience, and so we're here to highlight their talents, highlight their careers, and so you can maybe learn something from them and go, hey, I quite like what Rob did here. I will aspire to be like him one day, and maybe if I need some help or some advice, I'm going to reach out to him and ask him a question. Maybe, how do I play this shot, or how do I down up this? So it's awesome to see. And now we're going to progress into the New Zealand men. So we just touched on his Colts. He made his first debut for New Zealand Colts at the age of 18, 17. And then he went on 4 years later at the age of, 23?
Yeah.
23 to play for the New Zealand men's indoor cricket team in Bristol, England. Making his debut against England on the court, batting with a name that we all know around the indoor scene, Darren Crook. And we're probably known for his big leggy or whatever you want to call it, but it's dynamic. So how did that game go? How was your first experience going overseas, playing a tour in a different country, and just simply being with the lads on tour?
Yeah, I mean, lots of questions there around where it all set up. So the year before, I knew we were going to England, and I've always wanted to go to England and play cricket. I hadn't got a turn to go play an off-season outdoor there, so I was like, indoors where I want to go. I want to give it a bloody good chance. So got picked the year before, got into the squad, got across, and I was fizzed for it. Like, I was probably the only guy who stuck to the eating routine, fitness routine, running routine, anything I could get myself to get my best chance to be on those courts. And that was probably one of my better years, 07. And then got there, and the first game we played the host at home. And we lose the toss, get put into bowl, and traditionally England haven't been that strong. So we come in bowl, and we had to put a bit of work into it, and they got probably 75, got away from us. I bowled alright. I thought I don't know if I opened the bowling or maybe second, and then I was quite an early bowler back in the days, and we held them to 75, which I thought was a okay score, but 75 international was quite tough. So and then against the hosts as well on their courts, we go through in the second pair a guy Matt Henderson, well known around indoor cricket, legend, been in the world team a couple times in World Cups. And he jumps up for a ball and lands and puts his knee out. And in an international sport, there was no ambulances there. They had to travel. We had to wait a whole hour to finish our game, and then we had to continue to bat. So Darren Crook and I was batting third. Our job was to get in behind it, consolidate the pressure, and get enough to carry on to get enough for the last pair to chase it to win. And they've got to pick another batsman. So me being the rookie on tour, and I was batting with Darren, they're like, oh, they'll pick Rob. They picked Darren to bat again. So I must have shown enough in my first test that, let's kick him back. So that was pretty nice as well, the feeling that I've put my mark already in my first game, and that they had faith in me that I could do a job and continue through the tournament.
Can you remember what you scored?
Oh, look, I couldn't tell you. I reckon, if we had said, I reckon we probably just sold 25. We had a job to do ourselves in the game. Darren and I, both quite young at the time, around our international careers. We were pretty solid. We did what we needed to do, and I think in the end we scraped through. Like, we must have won by a couple of runs, like Darren and I think Dinger Bell from Wellington, who's still around the scene, playing a lot of Masters now as well. Got a few New Zealand caps. Shout out to him, good man.
Shout out Dinger.
He those two got us home with a couple of runs, and a great way to start international series. Awesome.
There's just a couple of points that I was going to touch on here. The first one was obviously touring in the New Zealand men's side. Like, a lot of people aren't fortunate enough to get to travel overseas, let alone with a team that you've drafted for years to try and make and play. So how was the experience alone, just going with the lads on tour to a different country that you've never probably been to, and just seeing it for your own eyes? Did you let's pinpoint it to maybe your favourite one or two tours that you've been on, because you've probably been on quite a few. Yep. How many have you been on, just for the audience?
Around about 6 World Cups.
Yeah.
I think home Colts, 2007 England. I missed 09 because I did play an outdoor season in England, so I didn't play 09 Australia. Went to Johannesburg 2011 Men's World Cup. 14 played at home in 2014 in Wellington. Then went across to Dubai in 17, was my last Men's World Cup. And then continuing the Australian, I got through to Masters World Cup in South Africa under over 35s. and then recently the Asia Cup tour in India, part of the 40s and the men's.
They look like great fun. India is definitely an experienced country within itself. So what I was going to touch on here is, so you talked about the opportunity of indoor cricket brings. Like myself and you, we're big outdoor cricket nuffies, and when we first start playing cricket, we're probably more prone to being introduced to the outdoor game. And as the outdoor, there's a lot of cricket, and in some shapes and form, it can be harder to make certain teams in the outdoor phase due to the selection numbers and all sorts of stuff. So then when the winter rolls around, you get indoor cricket, and it's amazing to see the opportunity that indoor cricket actually brings to yourself as a player. There's a lot of opportunities that people might not see and know, and I'd just like you to touch on the opportunities that indoor cricket brings to you as a player, going from the outdoor scene to the indoor scene, and why maybe you could actually get involved in the indoor scene and one day also represent New Zealand men's like Robert Sheary here.
So you talk about indoor and outdoor, right? So I loved outdoor. I was pretty successful in outdoor. Played a lot of rep cricket for Palmerston, and then went through to Mal 2. Got selected for CDA one year. Didn't go on tour. Chose not to because I was going overseas. And then decided, no, actually, I can't push through that, but I can travel the world playing indoor cricket. So, like I said, all those World Cups and places I've gone to, as well as playing for my national club, I get to go to Christchurch. I've been to Nelson. I've been to New Plymouth, Hawke's Bay, Auckland, Hamilton, all those places I've played around New Zealand and seen my own beautiful country. I've also then gone up and played for New Zealand, and then gone to South Africa, Aussie, Dubai, England, India, hopefully Sri Lanka next year. So it's given me a lot more opportunity to see the world through indoor cricket as well as wearing the fern. Like, massive for me to be able to hold the New Zealand fern on my chest. I remember being in Dubai, my last men's World Cup. I got emotional coming to the back end of the tournament knowing this could be my last test, because I was like, I've played for so long, I've put so much into it, and I knew it meant a lot to me. So I got real emotional about the idea of playing the last game for New Zealand and not showing where us would go. But definitely opened a lot more doors from outdoor season to indoor season. Now, I could have pushed through outdoor, I could have gone through along the mixer and maybe pushed a little bit harder, but indoor, I love the game, I love the camaraderie, I love the passion, I love the hour and a half battle on the court too. So there's no letting out in indoor. Like, you have to bat 4 overs with people right on you. You have to bowl 2 good overs, and you've got 16 overs with your mates on this court for about 45 minutes, doing your best to hold on to your game. And the game can change in an over. That's the brink of the game, right? So one bat over, one with the bat or the ball could really turn on its knife edge, and that's really exciting. Like, we live for that stuff. Yeah,
and we didn't touch on, but indoor cricket is a very, very fast-paced game, and the higher the levels you go up, the more competitive it is. I had got a mate along to play on our in-house game on Wednesday night, and he messaged me after and he goes, "Shit, bro, that was far too fast-paced for me. I don't think I'll be back." So it just shows that it really takes... It's like outdoors. Like, you either love the game or you probably hate it. It's the saying, we don't love cricket, we love it, or however the song goes. So on this podcast, I'm really interested in learning what makes people tick and how you got to where you are today.
Yep.
So I have a few questions to touch on this area, Rob. First and foremost, what makes you tick? Why do you play, and what drives you?
I think it's the thrill of the game. I think the opportunity was mainly the one to go overseas, go see England, play for my country in some sort of sport. Because everyone has a niche that they're really good at. Whether it's tech, sports, something clever around the books, whatever they are, something makes them tick that they're really good at, and they excel and they become entrepreneurs or whatever they want to be, right? For me, it was into cricket. It opened doors for me. It made me make friendships. I got to do what I love to do and be real passionate about, and got real aggressive about. So that was probably the main thing for why I stuck to it. And then getting to play and meet more people really made me tick. I really enjoyed that as well.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. Like, do what you love, like follow your passion, and if you love it, keep doing it, because with love creates great opportunity.
Yeah.
And so chase what your heart desires and never ever ever give up on your dream. So secondly, on that topic, as we go on, so back in the day when you started on the indoor cricket scene in 1995, I can't imagine there was an internet or anything to watch players or learn about players and stuff. So who were your role models? Who did you look up to? Was it in the outdoor scene? Was it in the indoors? Did you even know about anyone in the indoor scene before you started?
Nah, look, I mean, as a young player, I love Sachin Tendulkar. I thought he was an amazing batter. I loved the way the little master went about his work and took on Australia. In early doors, he was really coming to his niche. And then you had the Wall brothers as well around just batters. I love batting. I like the idea of being able to score runs and the thrill of hitting a good ball and playing good cricket and being there as long as possible. Indoor, it just gave me an opportunity to play more cricket. When I was younger, I loved cricket. I wanted to bowl, I wanted to bat. I just loved playing. I was nuffy. If I couldn't get down to the local school with my mates, which was sometimes controversial around the rules, I got to play indoor cricket. And I got to play 3 nights on a Friday and then grew into playing what we had a World Series at juniors. So we got to play heaps of different teams regularly. And then it brought me into playing men's quite a young age, around 13, 14, to play social night stuff. So I got to play more cricket and then just keep building and building and building. So from it was more about knowing an inspirational player from a centre. So at the time for the career wicket and then moving into the PISA, the GOAT of PISA was Rob Robinson.
Rob Robinson.
Rocket is known. He is a real quick bowler. Played about 18 tests for New Zealand. He was the guy I inspired to. The difference between him and most players, and a little bit more myself, I believe I'm not the most talented cricketer, but I'm mentally strong with a lot of players. I know my game. I know how to play to my strengths, and I exploit the opposition with my strengths. He was the same. He was rubbish with a stick, but he knew how to get off strike. Could bowl when he knew he had someone in trouble, he'll knock the stumps over or hurt them. And in the field, he just got in positions and he trained hard to be there. So that, from a young fella, learning from him helped me craft my skill to be better too. Because I've seen guys come through the cricket, far better cricketers, far better bowlers than who people, batters who can hit it on the out for fun, field, never be able to put all 3 together, but also never knew how to get out of a sticky situation with under the pump. And I've learned how to niche that part and be tougher and survive a lot more tournaments and be successful through some of the stuff I learned as a young age through Rob Robinson.
I can affirm to that, and I also know Rocket Robinson myself. We have a son in the team. We're currently around North Islands, and he plays, and he's been playing some pretty tidy cricket. So
yeah, it's quite funny because I played probably about 10 seasons of Rocket when I first started, and now I'm probably 3 or 4 seasons deep with his son, and the transition of going through his life and then knowing him as a good mate. And seeing him grow up with his boy, now his boys now come in and he's finished. He still supports. It's not around as much, but it's pretty cool seeing the generation come through as well. Now getting the opportunity to play with both.
Yeah, and it's also quite cool. Like you talk about how Rocket was a mentor for yourself, and now you might not realise this yourself, but like you look at the likes of the young guns in our team, like Jerome Robinson, Jacob Ducker, and Ethan Robinson, and they probably look up to you as a mentor. You know, you've been around the scene for a long time. You've gone to places all across the globe in indoor cricket. And you have a lot of great skill, and you know your strengths, and you know how to play the game to your advantage. So, I think that's really important to highlight and recognise how much of a talent you are. And you might not see this yourself, but a lot of younger people, even myself, look up to you about how you play the game, and it's very cool to see. You play it strong, you play it hard, and you play it with pride. So, it's great to see. Lastly, within that area, I was just going to touch on having mentors and people in your life to look up to has been a major key to success for people for years. It's great to hear that the indoor courts are creating legends that kids look up to, and hopefully it can continue as the years to come in the game. Last but not least, couple of little interesting areas. Favourite sporting moment?
A couple. I remember my first game against England. Obviously, that was still 16 years ago, and it's still reminiscent. And I haven't seen the video of it, I haven't seen a replay of it, just talking to the mates that I played and went to war with for New Zealand. We talk about the stories around it. So the first test for New Zealand, for men's, wearing the fern, having the national anthems, being there in front of quite a few people and playing for my country, massive. Secondly, winning a world championship. So we went to South Africa, 19 for Masters, gun side, like we were stacked of good New Zealand players. We're still playing men's as well. Had 4 or 5 guys that just hit 35, and I think we're probably around 40, 50 runs better than everyone else, but you still had to get the job done. And our boys on tour in depth, and with a couple of injuries and some challenges, we got through and became world champions. So to say that I'm a world champion was huge too, right? The opportunity to do it and then be able to say I've got that, it means lots to me, and it's one of my favourite moments, that tour.
Yeah, it's great to hear and great to see, and always nice to be able to lift the cup at the end of the day after you've been to war for so many days in a row, so very rewarding. Last question is, so as we just talked about mentors and players to look up to, how do you think the game is going? How do you think it's evolving as a whole unit, and what do you think that the indoor cricket scene could maybe work on or try and create so more we could publicise and actually create the game into the massive industry and tournament that it could be. You know, the World Series has just started in Dubai. It's only the start, and the way forward in the world, there's a massive area market for sport, whatever you want to call it, and the evolution has only just begun. So, how would you like to explain that and to the people?
I think in the last 2, 3, 5 years, especially now past COVID, it's gone massive, right? We have under 17s, 15s, and 13s, boys and girls going to Dubai for a World Series October this year. We recently had an extra tour, New Zealand Asia Cup, which was New Zealand 40s and men's went to India, and there was Sri Lanka, India, Singapore, UAE, and India themselves, all there in their own little tournament outside of World Cup year. Then you have a World Cup year, which is your men's and boys, which is your 23s or 22s, and men's, women's, and girls play a World Cup. They played last year in Australia. And then coming up next year is the Men's Masters World Cup. So you've had Men's World Cup last year, you have Colts in Dubai this year, and you have Masters, Ladies 30s, Men's 35s, Men's 40s, Men's 45s, and Men's 50s going to Sri Lanka potentially. So across the board in terms of opportunity, there is now a World Cup every 3 years for all different grades, plus extra international tours against Australia or extra tours. The girls are going to Dubai for a quad series against England. So it has started to really develop opportunity. The biggest challenge we have is it's self-funded. So all these guys are paying $4 or $5 grand each to play for their country, to travel these places. Now they get to see the world, but they take time away from their family, they take time away from their work, they have to fundraise to get opportunity to wear the fern. That can take its toll sometimes for players not to get opportunity. But the world scene, in terms of players, you look at junior series is now massive in New Zealand. You've got nationals, North Islands are bigger than before, that you have to play in certain cities because the courts can't handle it. And you've got a separate Masters tour now in New Zealand. So I think our country and the world, the sport's getting bigger and bigger. We just went to India for the first time. We're now trying to get them to really get bigger and bigger because they were awesome at World Cup last year. So we want India to get better and better and more players from them. Sri Lanka have always been punching above their weight, getting better and better, and they produce really well. And UAE, man, like they just took the World Club Series there. First time they've had an international club series in Dubai. So there is a lot of good stuff going in the space. And it's pretty exciting, right? Indoor cricket, opportunity to travel the world, opportunity to see where you can play at a club level. You can even go to Dubai. And now we have World Series for all ages. All ages. If you're 50 plus, you can play in a World Cup.
Cool. Just one thing I was going to touch on also that I didn't add is how we talk about the Masters. So like you talk about over 40s, over 45s, over 50s. Like it's an amazing opportunity. You know, you can keep playing even as the years go on, and you'll always still have that friendship in the community in the area of sports. Last question, a question from the audience that we received yesterday was, as a mentor, as a player, as a coach, as a selector, who do you recognise as the up-and-coming rising talents on the scene in the indoor cricket scene? Is that too speculative to talk about, or would you like to kind of talk about a mould or a gap, or what you like to see in a player that can actually make the New Zealand men's team in the coming years?
Yeah, it's pretty tough, right? There are a lot of kids that I saw this weekend. Even yesterday, there's a young fella who really inspired. He played well against us, 16, and didn't get picked for the 17 side to go to Dubai this year. And I thought, man, seems like he's got the goods, but didn't get seen earlier in the year to play that well. So there are people that are going to get missed. There are opportunities for those guys to continue to grow. But the best thing we have is we've got such a wide range of age groups available that if you aren't playing well enough, you miss a turn, you still have another chance. So like I said, 13s, 15s, 17s, and then you get a good 6-year chance of 2 World Cups to play 23s and then develop into men's. What they're looking for at the higher grades is, look, for me, and I think it's the same as mental toughness, showing that if it goes the wrong way, you still keep to your knitting, keep to your strengths, do what you do well. You get picked for what you do well, not to do stuff that's outside your box because you think you need to do something. If you've got a particular role in a job in your team and you're picked for that, then just stick to it. The team has got a process and you've got to follow the process. One of the famous coaches, Paul Anderson, you'll see him around, he's one of the best in the country, most World Cup coaches, wins with a coach, stick to the process is his thing. Picks a team, knows the process, boys go to work, and we win championships.
So just keep it simple, Steve, and just play hard.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you've got some real good skills around what you do, why you get picked. So stick to that, and then that will help you be successful.
Cool, thank you. One last thing we didn't touch on was I'd just like to highlight Rob as a father, as a family parent and stuff. He is very supportive of his family, and he takes a lot of time out from his family to go play cricket and overseas and indoor cricket and stuff. So it's quite cool to actually see how Rob continues to help grow the younger generation and stuff. He has a son, Alex, who's also aged 10, and Rob plays on a Thursday night in the PISA indoor centre with his son, and they bat together and have a world of fun. So it's quite cool to see a full round circle trip of Alex, his son, at the age of 10, being on the indoor cricket court where Rob first played his first game of indoor cricket at 9, 10 at cricket wicket. So it's very, very special, and it's an absolute privilege, and you're very fortunate to be able to share the court with your son. So.
Oh, I agree. No, I mean, I go out my way Thursdays to make sure we can, and then I'm not sure how many more years we get opportunity, but I'm going to relish it while I can. It's very special for us.
Yeah, it is, and it's very cool to see, and it warms my heart when I walk into the indoor centre and I see you two running around the court having a laugh with each other. So cool. Just last three quick fire questions to finish is: are you a bearer of Bitcoin?
No. have a little bit of shares. No Bitcoin. Not really.
Do you believe in aliens?
No, because no.
No?
No reason why.
Cool. And what is your favourite food?
Steak.
Lovely. Right, thank you very much for coming on the first ever The Atlas podcast. Thank you to Robert Sheary. I hope you guys were able to take something away from this, learn something, maybe what the coaches or selectors are looking for and how you can play your next game of cricket. Maybe you're interested to get on the scene and join the indoor cricket court. So definitely sign up, get along. I hope you're interested. Leave a comment, like, subscribe. Let us know what you thought. Let us know what you want to hear from us. Rob, any last words?
No, mate, I love for people to play more indoor cricket, get on the scene, get opportunity, take it on.
Right, awesome. Well, thank you very much for tuning in, guys. This is The Infinite, tuning out. Cheers, Rob.
Yeah,
Thank you. Awesome. No, wrap
I'm
it.
not sure if it's going to be big in India if I talk about steak.